G20 has been a grand affair for India. Over the last 1 year, almost every state has hosted some event related to the G20 summit. It's been a mix of modernity with tradition. But now all eyes on the national capital as Delhi gets ready to host some of the most powerful countries in the world.
As India gets G20 ready, the government hopes to host a spectacular event and to show to the world that yes, it can. While presidency of the G20 has come naturally and as a matter of procedure to India, it's important for the government to showcase to the world that India can stand up to the turmoil in the neighborhood and also leave a footprint in the global space. With irritants like China trying to surge ahead, on multiple occasions, PM has made the point that it's tough to ignore India. This is one reason why the PM insists on meeting the Indian diaspora on his travels abroad, calling them ambassadors of India. He hopes to tell the world that Indians succeed wherever they go.
The Indian diaspora are excellent ambassadors of India at the world stage. Wherever they have gone, they have taken with them the ethos of India.
The government plans to use this as a benchmark for 2024 too, to make the point that India and its PM is Vishwamitra, a friend for all and the world, where the vaccine Maitri, when India supplied to many needy countries who were short of vaccines, to help the earthquake victims of Turkey, to evacuation of those stranded and caught in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Today, the G20 comes at a time where a rising India, on the way to defining the new India, right, is being applauded all over, not only for its own achievements. Vishwa clear, Maitri clear, but it's not confined to just vaccines. It's confined to how you act, how you reach out to people. Why the World Bank, why the Gates Foundation think that what you are doing for India is replicable on a larger scale in the global south. That is what India is, and the G20 is all about.
The government, however, wants to make it clear to the visiting countries that it's no pushover. It will make a strong pitch for protecting its frontiers, fair deals on trade, fair terms of investment, and the right of India to be Atmanirbhar. But this leaves the opposition unimpressed.
The G20 summit is being used as a political gimmick. Even the symbol has the lotus in it. And although Mr. Modi has distanced the BJP lotus from the G20 lotus, the fact of the matter is that both of them are lotuses. And when I look back to the non-aligned summit of 1983, in whose organization I was involved, it was organized within 3 months. And we didn't have all this closing of roads and repainting of the city and so forth that is now going on. So all this is excessive.
There is, however, no denying the fact that as India gets independent in trade and economic terms, as growth stories come out of villages, as countries clamour to do business with India, and as we are on the moon post-Chandrayaan mission, the PM and his pitch for strong India can no longer be ignored.
If there has been one hallmark of this government, in this tenure at least, it has been a stress on improving India's global image. And that is the reason why the Prime Minister, when he goes abroad, he always talks about the work done by the Indian diaspora as well as how India is becoming increasingly Atmanirbhar. No longer should we accept the tag of being the third world or developing country. And in that sense, the G20 summit is going to be yet another attempt being made by this government, by the BJP and the Prime Minister himself to make the point that it's going to uplift the image of his government and that of the country.
As the nation gears up to welcome the dignitaries and the carpets are rolling for the G20 summit, the national capital, which is hosting this particular G20's mega event, has been decked up, and will take you on a ride on to where and what has now changed in the national capital here in Delhi. The iconic Connaught Place has been facelifted, and authorities have also kept heavy rainfalls in mind and installed adequate measures.
We have developed more than 10 lakhs plants in own nursery, and then we have planted big trees around 3,000, and approximately 1 lakh potted plants we have put to NDMC areas where concrete is there. So our disaster management department is there, and we have put more than 100 water pumps on the vulnerable locations, and I think there will be no issue at all.
You can see right behind me is Lieutenant Governor of the National Capital Territory of Delhi, Mr. V.K. Saxena, reviewing, the plantations have been done near, in fact, the Rajghat. He is currently reviewing the situations here. Remember that the beautification of the national capital is one of the key features when it comes to, the preparations for the G20 summit is concerned. While beautifying the national capital, the showcasing of Indian culture has been kept in mind. And this is the end of our journey, where we have shown you how Delhi has been decked up as a bride for the mega event. And this is the exact place, that is the international airport, from where the carpets would be rolling for the G20 dignitaries. World's biggest democracy is set to hold world's biggest summit, the G20 summit. And now it's just days left for that very summit, and entire Delhi is decked up to welcome all the dignitary state heads coming in from all the partner nations. And in fact, now what the national capital is looking like is somewhat like this. There's been beautification done all across Delhi. And in fact, one very important aspect which has been kept in mind while beautifying Delhi is keeping in mind India's soft power prowess. Because when we talk about diplomacy, soft power is a key component of this entire diplomatic world. And in fact, right now I'm coming to you from near the airport area, and in fact one very interesting installation has been done by the Delhi government over here in the national capital. I'm talking about how religion and spirituality has been kept as one of the main parts of this entire summit. This is the Jyotirlingas, 12 Jyotirlingas which have been installed by the Delhi government and the PWD department over here. This is something which is very important to Indian culture, to Indian spirituality, and in fact that all has been kept in mind while doing the decorations, and in fact while facelifting the national capitals. Now this is one very significant thing which the authorities have done in Delhi, because when we look at India, when the entire world looks at India, one very important thing is the culture and the religious power of the country. And in fact, when we actually spoke to certain people in the authorities, they were actually very keen to talk about India's spirituality and soft power. And this is one of the examples of installation of 12 Jyotirlingas. In fact, when we talk about Jyotirlingas in Hindi, Jyoti means light in English and Linga means identity. So now this is one of those messages which the country is actually giving out when we are talking about this entire G20 summit. And in fact, this is very well kept in mind, how to showcase India's spiritual side also to all the delegations and countries head who will be coming here to the national capital to visit and to in fact to be part of G20 summit. Now you can see how these installations have been done here near the airport, and in fact very small details have also been kept in mind when we talk about installation of these Shiv Jyotirlingas over here. In fact, you can see how continuously water is also falling on these very Jyotirlingas. So this is the message which India is trying to give. Yes, we are talking about hard power. Yes, we are talking about diplomacy. But soft power is also something which is very crucial to India and to India's identity. And this is what